Hunt for Kyle. I walked into the office where Zach was sitting, filing out some paperwork. He looked at me and said, "Kyle," said, "we have a hunt I need you to go on." "Just me?" I asked. "Forgive it, but we can't send two hunters. It requires a little bit of discretion." "What is it?" "You see, there's a peace treaty going on between two capitals. They're going to be exchanging troops." "Okay. What exactly does that have to do with me?" "Well, pretty much everything, if you think about it. I mean, think about it like this. There are some people who wished, harm the party going, which is the Queen of Malcolm, a woman named Giselle." "What does Giselle have to do with this?" "Well, she wants to, help bring peace to, two neighboring kingdoms. Malcolm, the main kingdom that she is a part of, and Akaro. Akaro. What exactly does Akaro have to do with this?" "It's overrun with monsters and refuses our help. But they want troops to help deal with their little problem. So if you can go there and help with the peace treaty, then they'll be able to, defend themselves a lot more frequently." "Why specifically me?" "Well, to be completely fair, I've never seen you in combat before, and I do legitimately believe that you would be a great asset to them. So I'm basically being tested. Of course, I need to know how every hunter fights in my order." "Now what does Giselle need a hunter for?" "Some monsters don't want this peace treaty to exist." "Why not travel during the day?" I asked her that question, and she said this. She doesn't want the public to know about this. "Why?" She wouldn't say. She wants to travel into the dusk of night. And that's where you come in. You're her bodyguard. Once you get to Oregon, you're able to leave. But why? Why just me? Well, to be completely fair, this is a very delicate situation, and I wanted to see how you handled under pressure. So I'm being experimented on. You can call it that all you want, but it isn't the truth. It's to help with the peace treaty. I stared at him for a minute, said, "Fine. But if she dies, she better not die. She's a queen, and probably one of the few people who help us the most. Her father genuinely supports our cause. And so, she agreed to help us." "So you're telling me that the reason we're doing this is because she's our highest payer?" "Pretty much, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's going to be a very, very bloody bath if she dies. And there's not really much we can do if she dies. We'll be blamed for her death. And then it will just be a massacre of hunters and people alike. And I'm trying to avoid war between the Hunters Order and everyone else. The elves already don't trust us. The dwarves haven't been heard from in a year or two. And now we don't want to make a war with the humans. So, is this something you can do without a problem?" I shrugged, said, "I guess." "Good. Good luck, Kyle." "Will there be anyone else helping me in this quest?" "No. I don't want more hunters getting thrown into this, because if it's nothing, then there's no need to send 5 hunters. Why not send an army with her, or maybe an entire department? An entire legion? Rather simple, really. That draw too much attention, and also it's a little overkill. And she says that the strength of a legion is not capable of the strength of one hunter. She really thinks highly of us. You would have no idea. Giselle is a practical woman. How far away is Orem from Malcolm? About 2 days. 2-day walk. Don't worry, you'll have horses most likely. She wouldn't abandon you without a horse. Once the treaty is signed, I'm fairly certain you'll be able to leave her. Because then she'll probably want to stay, delegates, all of the fun jazz in between. Giselle is an important person to the Hunter's Order. You have to keep her safe, even if it means your own life. I shrugged and said, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. He chuckled a little and said, yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. I nodded and left for Malcolm. It wasn't terribly far away, but the Orem, that's where I'm more concerned with. Orem is a few days' walk. That's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, it works for hunters who can travel a good distance, but I have very rarely ever traveled that kind of distance before. It took some time before I could get to Malcolm, but when I did, it was night. I saw a stranger standing at the top of the palace. I walked over, and I looked. I said, is the Queen in today? She said, no. If you are my escort, then we may begin. That trusting, huh? Listen, I've seen that sigil a lot more than you know. Either A, you're an imposter who's killed my escort, or B, you're a hunter. And seeing as how I still live, you're most likely the second than the first. I'm your escort. Let's go. Walking back down the steps, the Queen was wrapped in white garments. Her face wasn't revealed. I said, why are you not doing this in a day, or at least with some, army behind you? Why do you want a hunter? I trust the hunters completely. And also I trust you. Seeing as how you're the only person who's going to keep me alive, I have no choice but to trust you. For all you know, I could be threatening to kill you or lead you into a trap. I know, hunters. You're not going to do that, are you? I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to get you to safety, and I'm going to kill anyone who gets in my way. Are you sure that's a wise idea? I looked at her and said, you wanted a hunter, well, here I am. Don't question my motives. Or my loyalty. She said, noted. So, how do you plan on getting there? You don't have a plan? I was just told by Zach I would be guaranteed safety. He never told me anything else. I was told that you were going to have horses ready. We do have a stable, but it's back in the keep. I said, whatever. Fine, let's get going. The longer we're out in the night in the open, the more dangerous things get. She nodded and said, alright, I'll follow your lead. I nodded. Let's begin. We continued to walk around the empty night, the empty streets. We looked around. She stood right next to me on my right side. I looked around. I was always vigilant. I didn't see anything for an hour, but that didn't mean that we were safe. We were probably being watched greatly. and I wasn't going to let my guard down, not without a fight. As we continued to walk, I saw shadows moving in the darkness. I said, I think we're being followed. What makes you say that? Stay beside me. We started to move slightly faster. How did they know about this meeting? Well, when the Queen of Malcolm and the Duke of Orem want to talk about peace after, well, the monsters took over, it seems like there's something there that the monsters have to lose. Why not travel during the day? At least we'll be safer. Well, like I said, I don't want anyone to know about this other than you and I. It has to be done discreetly. If I send troops for no reason, and that I'm not an ally, I'll be seen as a traitor. Now it all made sense why she was doing this. She was trying to protect her people. I said, okay. The shadows became faster and faster, more and more frequent, and in the corner of my eye I could see them getting ready for something. I said, stop. I looked around for a minute, and the air was cold. I looked around and saw a figure walk up. I pulled out my axe and got ready for a fight. I put my axe in my left hand and held tightly. It was a vampire. It showed its fangs and charged at us. I slashed its head, caving it in. I said, stay behind me. More shadows began to emerge, and they became more and more vampires. I slashed one under the heel, and as he fell to the ground, I slammed on his chest with my blade. Then I jumped on the next one and cut his head by forcing my axe onto it and pressing down real hard. Then another jumped for the queen. I ran over as fast as I could and threw my axe, because I couldn't make the difference. It hit the side of his head, and then I ran over and picked it up and slashed the next one. Another dropped from the sky, and I slammed my axe into his gut and then put him on the ground. Do you trust me now? I said sarcastically. She nodded. I knew my faith wasn't misplaced. Good. And weren't you the one having trust issues? I looked at her and said, shut up. I continued to slash at 3 more, carving one's head off, caving the other's skull in, and then slashing the other's guts on the ground. One survived, and I walked over as he crawled away. I grabbed him and took him over to the bathhouse, which was very close by, and I slammed his head into a pool of water. Blood and the water began to mix. The queen said, "What are you doing? That's not sanitary." I looked at her and said, "Don't question it." I continued to force his head deep in the water until I pulled him out. I said, "Who sent the assault?" "I'll tell you nothing. I'll die first before I reveal any information." And then I said, "Well, I can be happy to arrange that." Then I put his skull on the bath edge and slammed it deep into the ground. I said, let's go. We're getting out of here. We're being watched. She said, was that really necessary? It was the best way to get information, but seeing as how we didn't get any, there was no point then. Exactly. Why are we doing this? We don't have to be brutes about it. You wanted someone to protect you, and here I am. I'm going to slay every one of them in brutal fashion. You can either get back in your castle, or you can learn to live with it. This isn't my first time, Hunter, seeing dead body. But what you did was brutal. The Hunters are not about brutality. Well, this one is. I want them dead. And I need to get you to your safe haven, and I will do anything to keep you safe right now. I realized what I just said. And then I said, don't think too much past that. Very well. Plus, you're not my type. I shrugged, said, okay. I walked over and continued to look at the dead bodies. Maybe one of them else survived. But no, they were all thoroughly dead. Let's get going, now. We continued to walk the streets. The cold, quiet air. I could feel movement around us, but none of them were bold enough to make any move. The day was beginning to sprout. We have to get moving now. You want this to stay discreet? We have to move now. She nodded. And we continued to move fast. Come on. We continued to run as fast as we could until we made it to a safe haven. Once we got outside, I knew we were safe. We were in an open area and nowhere to hide. And the sun was beginning to shine. Okay, we're gonna try and kill as much time from here to there, which means we move now. She nodded. Let's go. We spent a good majority of the day just moving. In some bursts, we began to run. We wanted to kill as much time as we could. And I knew that that was the only way to make it work. I want to stay in an open field so that we could not easily be seen. Or whatever was following us could easily be seen. I knew we were being followed. This wasn't the last time we'd see vampires or werewolves or whatever was coming at us because they had a cause in this and they had personal loss. This wasn't the last, and it certainly is going to be the easiest. We continued to move as fast as we could until nightfall hit. I looked at her and said, we need to get you some rest. She looked exhausted. She began to sway from side to side, and I said, sit down. I'm going to get you to safety. But let's get some fire. Let's get a fire going now. I found some firewood and built a small fire. Jezebel just stood there for a minute. I said, the fire is warm, you know. I'm well aware of that, Hunter, but again, I'm just a little on edge. As long as I live, you are safe. Don't worry. She came close by the fire and knelt down. She looked at it and relaxed. It was the first time that I had seen her that way. She took off her hood and mask and had a black hair and brown eye aesthetic to her. She was quite young. I'd say maybe in her early 30s, late 20s. She said, "This is not going to end well for both of us, is it? I mean, we're out in the open in the middle of the night, and we're only drawing more attention to ourselves by building a fire. You worry too much, my queen." I know I do. I just want peace. I just want peace for the world, and I want the monsters to finally realize that they're not going to win this fight. I want the hunters by our side. You're putting a lot of faith in the hunters, aren't you? Yeah. I put a lot of faith in my hunters. I helped them. My father truly believed in the cause. He died not too terribly long ago. How long? About 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years? How did you become queen so quickly? I became queen. My father stood as some sort of advisor for me, made wise choices, and made my kingdom prosper. It wasn't an easy task, but it was one that got done. And I took the burden of it, most of it. You really do believe that, don't you? She said, "What is that supposed to mean?" You really believe that the hunters can bring a lot of peace, when all we do is bring war? She nodded and said, "What do you believe, Hunter?" I believe that we're a long way from that prospect of peace. Believe me, I'm more than well aware of that. I mean, look at us. We're at war with the elves and the monsters. I didn't hear about the elves. It's unspoken, but it's real. Everyone knows about it. Trust me. I just want peace for our world. I don't care how many bodies will lie until peace comes into our world. You mean you are more concerned about peace than the people who die for it? Look what happened. You found the truth. I've been queen for a long time, a few years, and it changes you. You must understand that, don't you, Hunter? A few years can make a world of difference. I understand it very well. So I do have to ask, what's with that axe? My axe? What about it? I mean, most hunters prefer the sword, and also they are right-handed. I noticed you are left-handed, and you use an axe. Why? To be completely fair, that's just how I feel. I don't know what else to tell you, Your Majesty, to give you the answers you seek. I just feel this way. Left-handed feels more natural to me. And the axe, I guess, is representation of who I am. I'm tough, I'm strong, and I'm very deadly. Yeah, it looks more like an executioner if you think about it. You could be an executioner for the hunters. I shrugged, said, "Do you really believe that this peace talk will actually do some good for the world?" She shrugged. I don't know. I really don't know. Lasted. So how did your father die exactly? He died a madman. He believed in peace, yes, and he taught me very well. But the hunters discovered a horrible, sinister truth. What would that be? They discovered that my father was practicing necromancy, bringing his subjects back to life. And people began to rumor that I was one of those products. Can you believe it? An undead come back to life and stay alive. That's impossible. I knew deep down inside the truth. That she was talking to someone who knew the truth better than she ever could. She said, "Is it? Is it impossible?" No, it's not impossible. What? What do you mean? You're staring at one right now. What? You're an undead? For lack of a better word, yes. Dalen brought me back. Dalen? That madman? Oh, you know of him? Everyone knows about Dalen. Even those who don't know who he is heard his name. He's been a thorn in my side for years. He brought you back to life? I nodded. Me and my brother and sister, and more, but they didn't last. What about your brother and sister? They were the ones who sprung me and helped me defeat that creature. You defeated him? Well, it was a team effort, but I think my brother did most of the heavy lifting there. I have had rage my whole life because of Dalen. When he deemed me a failure, he locked me away to do more experiments on me. I was the unlucky one. The dead got their chance to go back to peace. How did you die the first time? I shrugged. I have no idea. I mean, in all actuality, it could be literally anything. I could have literally died of any other reason than, just simply because. You mean you have no idea of your own death? No, not in the slightest. I wish I did, but I didn't. So you're telling me that a hunter has no idea who they are deep down inside? I shook my head. Blasted. Knowing the truth, and yet it doesn't make it better, does it? I shook my head. But before we can continue the conversation, I could hear movement, and in the corner of my eye, I saw shadows continue to move. I stood up and pulled out my axe. I said, "Come out and face me, you cowards! Now!" But then I heard clapping. Congratulations, we'll take it from here. And a strange figure who I felt like I'd recognized walked out of the shadow. Said, "Whatever you want, you're not having it. At all." Is that really how you think this is going to go? He stood there, white hair, wrinkles all over his face. He very clearly was old. I said, "You lay a finger on her, you'll have to kill me first." "That can be arranged." "Cut him down, now." Several archers launched arrows, and I dodged them barely by the skin of my teeth. Then one charged at me with his blade, and I slashed his head open. I looked at him and said, "Do you really think that was going to work out for you?" He shrugged and said, "To begin with, be fair, I was expecting you to do all the heavy lifting for me. I swung my axe again and again, hitting multiple targets. I threw my axe with great precision, hitting one of the archers in the chest, killing him. I could feel my blood boiling, a great pain I had never truly felt. I yelled as loud as I could, "You want me dead? Here I am! You and me, right now! We are going to finish this!" He shrugged, said, "Very well. If you wish to die, then die." He charged at me with his blade. Realizing I didn't have anything other than my bare fist, he slashed at my arms to prevent them from doing any real damage to him. I grabbed his blade and slid down it, making sure that I can get close to him. Then I punched him across the face and said, "You'll have to try better than that." I'll admit, when Master Dalen, locked you away, I thought it was for a simple reason, but now it's true. You're more trouble than you're worth. I said, "You." It all clicked again. They knew each other, Dalen and this man. I didn't care to know his name, and I was going to cut him down for all the pain he had brought to me. Then he said, "Do you even know who I am?" I shook my head no. Said, "I'm the one who proposed that we lock you away. You like an animal, you abomination of nature, who doesn't deserve life." I said, "You really think that that's going to upset me? All it's going to do is give me more reason to kill you. I was going to kill you because you're threatening this queen, but now you just made this personal, and I plan to even the score." We began to trade blow and blow, again and again. But he was fast and I was strong. Every blow he dealt to me, I managed to barely pull through. But when a blow that I could not easily block hit me, I used that chance to punch him. For every 5 blows he did to me, I did at least 1. It was quite a difficult battle. He jumped into the air where I could not see. His shadows matched the night sky. And he began to fall down. I clashed with him multiple times. You really think that that was going to be so simple, huh? Oh, you pathetic brute. You have no idea what true power is, now do you? I said, "I don't need true power." I began to hear the queen scream in agonizing pain. I turned and saw them draining her of blood. I could feel my blood greater and more angry. I charged at them with great force and slashed at one's neck, slashing it completely open and blood falling to the ground. I ran over and ripped the other's head off. I looked at the queen and said, "Are you okay?" She did not move. She was paralyzed with fear. I turned around, feeling the blood in my hands. I didn't care anymore who this guy was. I just wanted him dead. I charged at him with great force. Every blow he did, it was completely nullified by my rage and hatred for him. I slashed again and again and again until he fell to the ground. I said, "You were right. I was an animal. And now this animal is out and ready to make you pay." I continued to chase him and slashed at his ankles so he couldn't run far away. I saw more vampires go for the queen. I turned around and dealt with them efficiently, crushing one's skull, ripping the next one's head off, and then driving my hand deep into the other's chest, ripping out his heart. Then I turned around said, "You have to try better than that to bring me down." "You really think we're here for you?" I said, "No, I know exactly why you're here. And that's why I'm stopping this right here, right now." "Very well, die." And he charged at me again. He stabbed into my gut, and I stared at him. I was in pain, yes, but my anger nullified it. Then I used all the strength in my right hand to slam the blade down, breaking it in half. I grabbed him and said, "Alright, let's try this out on you." I grabbed the broken handle and jammed it deep into his chest. I said, "Burn. I hope there's a special place for you." Then I dropped him onto the ground. The monsters began to retreat. When the morning came, I immediately returned to the Queen's aid. She had lost a little bit of blood, but not a lot. I looked at her and said, "Are you okay? Do we need to go back? It's not a short distance away, but we can make it in time." She nodded, and I picked her up and ran as fast as I could. When I approached the city gates of Malcolm, I yelled, "I need the doctor! I need a doctor right now!" The guards began to point their weapons at me. I said, "Listen, I'm a hunter. I have no interest in hurting her. But we need to save her right now. She was attacked by vampires." They nodded and took her away. I said, "Make sure she survives. Those peace talks are going to need her more than ever now." They nodded and took her away. A few days later, after returning to Huntsman's Keep, I get word that the Queen was able to make it to her peace talks. And it went surprisingly well. Zack said, "So let me get this straight. A vampire bit her in the neck and she's totally fine?" I said, "That's exactly what I said." Why do I get the feeling that she's not telling us something? I shrugged, said, "Do you genuinely believe that she is not even human?" "That's impossible. She's definitely human." But I guess the question is, how long is she going to stay human? Because she was bit. And that probably means she'll turn into a vampire. We'll monitor this very, very closely from now on. And so that's the end of my night. A very long